Okay, welcome to today's quotation about Macbeth. This is Macbeth giving instructions to have Macduff's family slaughtered. Now, there's no tactical reason for this to happen in terms of winning a war, because Macduff has already gone. In fact, by slaughtering Macduff's family, all he'll do is give Macduff a greater motive to kill Macbeth. And so we've got an interesting possibility here, an alternative interpretation. One is he's simply getting revenge to Macduff because Macduff has decided to go and fight with the English against Macbeth. But another is when Macduff finally confronts him, Macbeth says, "Of all men else I have avoided thee." In other words, he keeps avoiding Macduff in the battle. Well, why? Because it seems that he's deliberately taken this extreme level of violence, slaughtering Macduff's whole family, purely in order to anger Macduff, to give him enough motive to come back and kill Macbeth. So an alternative interpretation is that Macbeth is choosing how to die. He doesn't want to be slaughtered by lots of English soldiers coming and hacking him to pieces. Instead, he wants that final one-on-one, man-to-man, arm-to-arm combat, and he wants a worthy opponent. He doesn't pick Duncan's sons, perhaps because he knows he can beat them. They're young, and in his eyes they're feeble, whereas Macduff is a warrior. So this is quite interesting, isn't it? Right at this moment, he could be designing his own destruction and deliberately picking on Macduff because he knows Macduff will be the suitable enemy to kill him. There are two new pieces of vocabulary I'm going to get you to use here. To describe what I've just said, you're going to use this idea of Macbeth being self-destructive. He sows the seeds of his own destruction from this moment. But now we're going to come back to our old friend, the iambic pentameter, which you'll remember in the pentameter you have 10 syllables per line. Well, look at what Macbeth is having to do. He's having to abbreviate the and of and the in order to fit all this killing into one line. And so just the way he's had to do that reveals that he's overloading his sentence with different victims. And you can say the same about his actions. He's becoming far too extreme. Deliberately so. So he's becoming so barbaric that he would have to be got rid of. Nobody could tolerate this huge level of barbarity in their leader. It's one thing to fight men in battle. It's quite another to go assassinating everyone in their household, no matter how vulnerable they are. And that's again revealed by cramming so many syllables into one line. And even when he does that, this line still is 11 syllables long. He still can't get it down to a pentameter. Well, that shows you how unsettled Macbeth's mind is. And Shakespeare does that on purpose. He breaks the rhythm of the iambic pentameter, as you've seen before, in order to signal something of a crisis in the tragic hero's conscience. And then this triplet here reveals how he's becoming increasingly extreme. So he's going to kill the wife, who's after all an adult, although a woman, then the children, which he deliberately calls babes. So in his own mind, he's deliberately making his own actions worse. He wants to become evil. We can infer from this, if we look to the context, that he has his own baby in mind, the one that Lady Macbeth told us about, who was obviously died and still left her lactating with milk. So it's important to remember he's only recently had his only child. We haven't got any other children. His only child has died as a babe. And perhaps this is his revenge against the world. He's quite happy to slaughter all the other babies. And then this desire now to kill everything. It doesn't matter who it is. Anyone who's anywhere near Macduff's house, his castle, is going to be slaughtered. So we can see the depths of his despair and his anger through that. But let me take you back to this. Here we have a marvellous metaphor. And the job of this metaphor is to distance Macbeth from the consequences of his actions. And so he's not saying, I intend to kill Macduff's wife and children and all. No. And he's not even saying, I'm going to get some assassins to do it for me. He wants to distance himself even more than that. And so he personifies the sword as the recipient of this gift of the wives and babes, as though it's the sword itself that is going to take the gift. And the gift doesn't come from Macbeth, it comes from the people he orders. So look how far away he puts himself from the act of killing. And that all comes through this personification and metaphor of the sword. And notice how he calls the sword an edge rather than a blade. And so here again, I think he's recognizing a turning point in his own mind between sanity and madness. So here he is literally on an edge and he steps off it. He goes beyond what anyone could tolerate. He becomes a monster rather than just a dictator. He becomes a monster who deserves to die. And if we take that a little further, we can infer that he realizes that he's become a monster at this very point, and this is why he chooses specifically to provoke Macduff, to give him the most powerful motive to come back and kill Macbeth. And so I'll finish this video with some of the vocabulary that I've asked you to use here. I don't know if I've used the word psychology, but actually it is Macbeth's psychology that we've been exploring here. His motive for provoking Macduff, then we have provoke again, and we've looked at the idea of the personification and the metaphor in order to distance himself from the horrible act of killing. So I hope you find that really useful. Don't forget to subscribe for some more videos.